right, ladies and gentlemen, Lotus Emira. Here we go. So this is the first edition. We have a supercharged Toyota V6 and stick shift, obviously. Sport suspension, but we have the Goodyear Eagle F1 tires, which is not an option that you can actually spec out, because if you get the Sport, you're going to be with the Cup 2 Michelin tires. This is nice and notchy. A little bit of lateral slop. People were saying online that this stick shift is like too tight. They were comparing it to the Honda S2000, saying that it's a little bit too U-shaped. There's no play in it. Nice heavy steering, hydraulic assisted rack. I mean, Lotus has always been known for having great steering feel. As far as the actual steering wheel shape, it has this square because of the gauge cluster. Not sure how I feel about that. If you were getting aggressive on track and really working the wheel, then that might actually make things a little bit awkward. But square bottom, you can get the little center marker here. I would get that in yellow personally. This interior is really nice too. This is the Alcantara and leather with the yellow stitching, which is what I would actually choose. Based on, of course, the Lotus Evora, but this interior is way different, way more modern. I drove the Evora 400 about a year ago, and that was, let's just say the interior was classically Lotus. I'm gonna flip this down into sport mode. This does not have adaptive dampers, so I'm guessing the sport mode just changes throttle mapping. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. Throttle mapping.
Just throttle mapping. Does it change the steering at all?
I think it tightens the steering ever so slightly, and then obviously you can hear the exhaust opens up a little bit as well.
I see. Now the pedal placement is a little bit awkward. My left foot, when I'm pressing in on the clutch, I need to go essentially to where the steering wheel is, all the way to the center. Red line is around 6,800 it seems. Decent pickup. I would say it's pretty similar to the Evora. I love the steering feel. It's actually not as heavy as I was expecting, but I did, see the reviews and the videos online, people talking about how it was way heavier than expected. I think this is very appropriate for the car. Great feedback. Great feedback.
It's alive.
It's alive, man. I love this. Lotus does steering the best in the business.
I agree. Train tracks up ahead, just fair warning.
Really nice,
brakes
firm. Yeah, really easy to modulate. Good initial bite. Throttle response is nice. Very easy to rev match. Haven't had the opportunity to heel toe yet. And with that supercharged V6, we do get a more linear power response rather than it being turbocharged, which is very appropriate for a car like this. I would rather have supercharged and less power than have something that's laggy. I'm not sure how the inline 4 turbocharged Mercedes AMG engine is going to be in terms of throttle response and linearity, but this car, you don't buy this car because you're trying to get amazing straight line speed. You buy this car because of the driving enjoyment. A Corvette is going to blow the socks off in terms of raw performance numbers, but the experience of this, the steering feel, the emotions it delivers, that's why you buy a Lotus. That's why I'm excited for this car. Dude, this steering is so so good. So good. So when you guys are watching car reviews, you have to always keep in mind the reviewer's biases, right? So my biases, I care more about steering than the average person. I care more about transmission than the average person. I care less about engine than the average person. So keep that in mind. Some people really want straight,
yeah, keep going.
Some people really want aggressive acceleration, and I'm okay driving my GR86, you know, so keep that in mind. But this thing is bloody quick in my mind. You know, the sport suspension is not, oh, excuse me, it's not bad at all. Yeah, I guess I also have a greater tolerance for a bit of a stiffer ride. This feels plenty comfortable.
Right. I think the seats are helping as well. You know, the seats are very comfortable.
These are very comfortable, absolutely. This is pretty notchy. Pretty positive on gear engagement. Yeah, people were saying that you have to go too like rigidly like this. I think this feels great. This is actually better than I expected, because usually Lotus gearboxes, they're not as tight. Like, I drove an Elise recently, had a lot of lateral slop even with the aftermarket short shift kit. But this feels great. I mean, there's no, I would still put Honda S2000 above it, but it's a very high bar. You can feel the front end, you know, lighten up a little bit on throttle input when you're turning, which makes sense. I mean, it's a mid-engine car. Not the smoothest heel toe right there. Trying to get the tail out a little bit. We did have traction control kick in. I'm not going to be disabling it on this ride. And a little bit of a learning curve on this heel toe. Not the smoothest. I feel like the pedal placement, it's a little bit cramped. I'm wearing size 13 shoes, and I can feel a little bit, it's almost like the gas and throttle are cramped together. And then obviously the clutch is really far left. Like right now with my foot on the brake and I'm pressing the clutch, my left foot is touching my right foot. I'm sure it's something that you can get used to though. It's a little bit of a learning curve, but man, this is great. I'm excited. I've had my deposit since last December. I'm thinking Seneca Blue with this interior, or the Hethel Yellow. I haven't decided yet. Man, what a car. Obviously not nearly as raw as an Elise or an Exige or even the Evora before it. Now again, I drove that Evora so long ago that memory's a bit fuzzy. Obviously, you have the precision. Is there any slop? There's no slop here, very precise. And then you have this actual steering speed. When you turn in, does it feel pretty immediate? This feels pretty similar to the Evora from my memory in terms of, you know, it's not quite as light and darty as a left. It's not quite as light and darty as an Elise, but that's a smaller car, shorter wheelbase. And then the fourth thing is steering weight, which we already discussed. I think it feels very appropriate for this car. I do not think that it is too heavy. I feel like for a sports car like this, you want it to feel a little bit heavier than the average car. NVH is a bit noisy. Let's see what we got here. Around 70, 71 decibels, which is very similar to my GR86, which is normally around 72 decibels. A lot of more like the Mazda CX-50 that I'm buying is more around 65 decibels at this speed. But obviously, sports car, you're expecting it to be a little bit louder, a little bit more raw. This is not nearly as raw as the Elise, and even compared to the Evora, this is a much more refined vehicle. There are a few squeaks and rattles in here, but that's expected with a pre-production car. The final delivered ones are not going to have that issue. Dude, this steering is so good. So good. Part of me was a little bit concerned. I was like, man, I'm hearing mixed things on these reviews. Evo car review was pretty negative. Like, am I just gonna get a Cayman? And I had a bit of concern that once I test drove this car, maybe I wouldn't enjoy it. But I'm sold, man. This is it. This is the one. Attainable dream car right here.
Yeah, that was clean.
Unlike the Evora, you have a much more modern interior. Obviously, digital dash.
Bigger interior too.
Oh, it's bigger too.
Yep. I think it's like 10% bigger, maybe.
Did not know that. Did not notice that. So digital dash, digital gauges. You have this here as well. It is very high resolution. It looks good. It looks modern. Some people were mentioning that it's hard to see the actual gauges. It's overcast here today in Vegas, so it looks totally fine to me. And you know, brighter, sunnier weather, not quite sure how that would look. Super bright.
Stay to the right. Try.
Brakes are quite bitey, but pretty linear, easy to modulate. And I'm really pleasantly surprised by this. I had concerns that because normally their gear selector, their transmission is not as tight. This is great though. Clutch engagement doesn't have as much feel as some other cars, but it's not really hindering my ability to drive it smoothly. Like, all these shifts are fine. The heel toe is a little bit weird, but that's more of the throttle and brake placement more than anything. Yeah, when you get slower, heavier steering, which makes sense. I mean, if it was an unassisted rack, it'd be a little bit heavier at slower speeds. This is good, man. This is really good. Now, if you're considering buying one of these, you gotta get the V6. Not only because it's a V6, but more importantly, that's the only engine that allows you to have a 6-speed manual transmission. And I don't know, I don't mean to be that annoying manual purist, but if you're getting one of these cars, you're doing it because of the driving experience. If you want something that's more refined and comfortable and whatever, you're looking at a different vehicle in this class. It's like going to a steak restaurant and ordering a salad. Why would you not get this car with the 6-speed manual transmission? Say no to steakhouse salads. All right, gonna try to get this a little bit. Oops, I missed it. Yeah, still not nailing those heel toe downshifts. Oh, physical HVAC controls. Thank you, Lotus.
Like that.
Thank you. One of the reasons I decided against getting the M340i was literally because it was all digital. They removed that freaking LCI. Alright, that was a decent, or at least a little bit better heel toe. Oh yeah, there we go.
That's what you're looking for, huh?
Alright, I'm getting used to the heel toe. So this does have double wishbone in all four corners, which I like. You're going to left, right here.
Left.
You're gonna notice that when you're driving this more aggressively through corners, because you get that negative camber as you load up.
Just do a U-turn and go back the same way.
Okay, let's do that.
Hit that same similar path. More experience will drive that way. Stay to the right. Go left here.
Okay. So pretty noticeable understeer on throttle input mid-corner. I mean, granted, I'm going pretty aggressive on the throttle, but more so than the Porsche Cayman 718 GTS 4.0 that I just drove at the Porsche Experience Center a couple weeks back. All the way right?
Yeah. Let's see if we get caught up.
All right.
And your next left into one of the side roads.
This one?
Yep. Confidence. Good little run through those things.
That was great, thank you. The brake pedal is almost a little bit too bitey at the initial. I mean, that's something that I'll get used to, but at slower speeds, I'm actually a little bit rough with that initial bite. And this gear selector, this transmission is good. This is good. I was concerned. I was really concerned.
Just a right. Right and then a sharp right.
This transmission feels better to me. It feels tighter, less slop compared to a 718 GTS non 4.0. The 4.0 that I drove had PDK. And it's actually tighter too. I would say it's similar, but tighter than even the 718 GT4 that I've driven. Or no, rather, that was a 981 GT4 that I've driven. Because the 718 GT4 I drove was also PDK. That was awesome. Thank you. That was fantastic. I'm sold, man. I'm sold. I mean, I was already sold. I put a deposit down, but I'm even more sold now. What a sexy ass car. Again, I'm gonna get this in either blue or yellow. What's this color called?
The gray.
Is this Nimbus gray?
No. The Nimbus gray is more like a silver. That's inside.
Okay, this is shadow gray then?
Shadow.
Shadow gray.
The Nimbus is like Nimbus silver.
And there you have it, boys. Lotus Emira, first edition. Much love, and I'll see you guys in that next one. So dope, dude. So dope.